Good morning, children. We are again meeting for our online class, and this is a class for students of class 12, and the subject is computer science. So today we are going to start off with the same chapter, that was data file handling, and we are going to continue from the same point where we left. That means now we have to start with binary file operations. Now, talking about binary files, they are same as text files, but here when we are writing data, that is getting stored in the form of byte stream. This is the difference between the ordinary text file and the binary file that we would be talking about in today's session. So, binary file operations, if we wish to write a structure such as list or dictionary to a file and then read it subsequently, we need to use a Python module pickle. So every time when you are talking about a binary file and you want to write something onto it and you want to read it later on, then we have to include a module with the name pickle. Now, pickling refers to the process of converting the structure to a byte stream. That means we are converting the data that we are storing into its bytes equivalent or bits and bytes form before writing to the file. While reading the contents of a file, a reverse process called unpickling is used to convert the byte stream back to the original structure. That means this is the method of writing data onto a binary file. First, the use of module pickle, and pickling is a process of converting the structure, be it a list or a dictionary, into its byte form or byte stream form, and when we want to read it back, the process is known as unpickling. We know that the methods provided in Python for writing or reading a file work with string parameters. So when we want to work on binary file, conversion of data at the time of reading as well as writing is required, and that is nothing but the process of pickling, like we talked about it in the first paragraph. Pickle module can be used to store any kind of object in file, as it allows us to store Python objects with their structure. That means if we are trying to store a dictionary or a list, then we can do it very conveniently using the pickle module and using the two functions, load and dump, that we are going to talk about in a moment. Pickle module can be used to store any kind of object in file, as it allows us to store Python objects with their structure. So for storing data in binary format, we will use pickle module. And if I am saying we will be using pickle module, that means we need to import this module right on the top of the program so that we can use all the methods or the functions that are there inside this module. First, we need to import the module. It provides two main methods for the purpose, dump and load. That means these are the two methods or the functions that we would be using for writing data in a binary file or reading data from a binary file. For creation of binary file, we will use pickle.dump method or a function to write object in a file, which is opened in binary access mode. That means if I want to create a binary file, I want to write data onto it, I would be importing pickle module and using dump method or a dump function to do so. So now let us see the syntax of dump method or a dump function. We write dump and two parameters are used in this function. First one is the object and another is the file object. That means object means what data you want to write, and file object is actually the file handler with the help of which we would be writing data onto the file. Now let us see one program in which we are trying to write a structure list in the binary file. That means we are creating a binary file and we are trying to store a list inside that. So first of all, a remark line or a comment line is there, program to write list sequence in binary file. Then a function is created with the name f operation. Inside this we are importing the module pickle. That means this should be the first activity if you are working on a binary file. Just below it we are initializing one list with the name list1, and the elements of the list are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 100. That means you are storing some values in the list, initializing it. Just below it you can see a statement as f equal to open. That means we are trying to create a binary file with the name list.dat, and the mode that we are using is WB. Now if you remember, when you talk about files, we have to specify the mode in which we are opening that file. Now since this is a binary file, we would be writing WB, that means B stands for binary file. Just below it I am saying pickle.dump. Within parameters, within this dump method, we are using two parameters. First one is the object, that is the list1. That means I want to store this object onto my file, and which file? Which is opened with the handle f. That means the file object is f. Just below it I am flashing one message on the screen. That means in case if I am running this program without this print message, it will perfectly run without any problem, but I just want to flash one message on the screen so that we get to know that yes, work has been done successfully. So print statement is included with the message as file added to binary file. In fact, it should be data added to binary file. We are not adding any file to a binary file, we are creating a binary file. So we must be writing it as print data added or list added or list data added to a binary file. The message should be meaningful. Just below this I am just closing the file. Once we have declared all the statements or defined all the statements of function f operation, just below it I am calling that function or using that function. That means the moment these statements get executed, automatically all the statements inside this f operation will be executed. That means a file with the name list.dat should be created with the object list1, which we have already initialized in the program. So if you look at the output of this program, you will simply see one print statement that was there in the program, that is file added to binary file. That means data added to a binary file. Now if you want to see the content of your binary file, in that case you will have to open that file in a notepad. But if you look at the file contents, you will not be able to understand anything because this is a binary file, not an ordinary text file. Next, practical implementation. Program to write structured dictionary to binary file. Now in previous program we wrote list in a binary file. Now we are going to write a dictionary object or a dictionary structure onto a binary file. Over here the first statement is import pickle. Now in this program we are not declaring any function to do all these activities. Directly we are writing all the statements in the program. But in case of last example, we defined one function with the name f operation, and then we used all the statements or wrote all the statements in that and called that function. But over here we are simply writing all the statements without using function. So the first statement is import pickle. Just below it I have initialized a dictionary with the name dict1. That means I have the key value pairs defined as Python 90, Java 95 and C++ 85. I have three elements in this. Just below it I am opening a file with the name bin_file.dat. That means this is a binary file I am going to create to store a dictionary item. Just below it I say pickle.dump. That means dump is the method to write data onto a file, onto a binary file. So I am using it pickle.dump, and the parameters used are, first one is the object that I want to write, and the object in this case is dictionary1, and the file object is, or the file handle is f. Just below it I am closing this file with close function. Now if you run this program you will not find anything on the screen. It will just create a file, write a dictionary item or dictionary structure onto a file, and that's it. In case if you want that some message should be displayed just to see that yes, all statements have successfully been executed, then you can just include one simple printf statement with some meaningful message after writing data onto the file before f.close, so that you can just check it. As shown in the above program, the dictionary items are added to binary file bin_file.dat. However, the contents of binary file are not much in human readable form. Yes, that is what I told you in the previous slide, that in case if you try to open that binary file in a notepad, you will not be able to find some readable information. Another important thing here, children, is every time when we are creating a binary file, we are automatically assigning an extension as, or a text that appears more like an extension as .dat. It is not mandatory. You can assign any name to a file, but most of the time in many of the books also you will see that every time when we are creating a data file, just to make it clear for the users who are reading that file or that program, to tell them that yes, this is a data file, so we put a extension sort of thing, or a text that looks more like an extension as .dat. But don't think that this is a mandatory. You can define any meaningful name of a binary file as per your choice. Once data is stored using dump method or dump function, it can then be used for reading. That means now dump is used for creating a file. For reading data from a file, we have to use pickle.load to read object from pickle file. That means in case if I want to read data from a file, I will have to make use of load function. Let us see the syntax of load. It is very simple. We write simply object equal to load and then the file object. That means whichever file object you are using in a file, that is given as a parameter inside load. Note, we need to call load each time dump is called. Yes, obviously when we are creating a file using dump, we need to access it using load. Program to read dictionary items from binary. Now over here we are referring to the same files that we created earlier, and we are trying to see the contents of these files using load functions. The first statement is import pickle. F equal to open, that means we are opening this same file that was created earlier, bin underscore file dot dat, and now we are using RB mode. That means I want to read this mode, and being a binary file we are using RB, not just R. Just below it I am saying dict1 equal to pickle.loadf. That means whatever was the data stored in the file that is opened with f, that is bin underscore file dot dat, that content will be picked up, it will be read from the file and get stored in dict1. Now you can take any other variable also. Just below it you are closing the file and then printing the contents of the dict1. Now a better approach would be you print the data and then you close the file, but in both the cases this program is working fine. I have checked it myself. All the programs are doing giving correct outputs. So this is the way you extract information from a binary file, open it in a read mode, and then using load function you extract information or read data from a binary file, and then you can print it. Now if you look at the output of this code, it will show you all the contents that were created or saved in a binary file. You can see Python 90, Java 95 and C++ 85, exactly the way it was defined in the program that created a binary file. Now program to store and display multiple integers in binary file and read and display it on the screen. This is again a single program in which we are creating a binary file. We are storing the values onto it, and then in the same program we are reading the data from the binary file and displaying it on the screen. Now just don't worry about the length of the program or some important or new terms that are there in the program. The program is very simple and very easy. Just listen to me very carefully. We have defined one function with the name bin file, and inside that function we are performing all activities. First statement is import pickle. We are importing the pickle module. The line number 2 says file equal to open data.dat.wb. That means we are trying to create a new binary file with the name data.dat. So we have given the extension, the mode as WB. After that we have run one loop while true, that means this loop is going to work multiple times as per the given value. While true, that means till the time condition is true. What I am doing inside this loop, there are uh, 4 statements inside this while. The first one is line number 3, x equal to int input, enter the integer. That means this is a simple message on the screen with the help of which we are trying to accept any integer value from the user and storing it in x. Line number 4 is actually writing data onto the file using dump method. So pickle.dump, we are trying to write the content x onto the file which is opened with the help of file object, and the name of the file object itself is given as file. So that means we have accepted one value from the user and then we have written that value onto the file, onto the binary file. Third statement is ANS is equal to input. Do you want to enter more data, yes or no? That means I am flashing one message on the screen asking the user whether he wants to continue or not, and the response is getting stored in variable ANS. Just below it I am saying if ANS dot upper, that means we are just converting the response entered by the user into its uppercase equivalent and checking whether it is capital N or not. Now in case if user's response is N, I am saying break. That means I am terminating the whole process and closing down this while loop. If not, again we will move on to the first statement, x is equal to int, and process will continue. So this way we are asking the user to enter integer till the time he wants and writing that data onto the file using pickle.dump. So once we are done, that means once user has entered the value as no, that means he doesn't want to continue, we'll come out of this while loop, and after that I am closing this file. That means look at the line number 5. Line number 5 is actually closing the file.close function. Line number 6 is again opening the file, the same file in reading mode. So in one single program we have created one file, we have closed that file in a proper way, and again we are using the same file handle or the word file for opening that file. You can do so, there is no issue in using the same file object in the same program for both opening and for reading as well as creating a file. The only important thing is that you should close it properly at a proper place and then reuse it. So at line number 6 again we are opening the same file with the same file object, and now this time it is in a reading mode. At line number 7 and at line number 11 you can see something new, try and accept. Now this is actually a new concept, or you can say a kind of approach where we are actually trying to check that there is no issue in the program, and in case if there is any error we define the activity or the action to be taken in case if we encounter error. So we have one, it is also known as try and accept block or exception, you can say to find out any issue in the program, or in case if file is not getting opened successfully, not closing properly, in that case we can just make use of this format of checking. So we are using try block, this is also known as try block, and within this try block I am using while true. Y is equal to pickle.load file. That means I am trying to fetch the content from the file data.dat that is opened using file object file and storing the value in Y. And just below it at line number 10 I am printing that value. That means in case if you are able to open that file successfully, the statement line number 9 will be executed. Line number 10, that means value will be displayed on the screen, and since these two statements 9 and 10 are under while block, so this process will continue till it has fetched all the data. Now then accept EOF error. Now this line number 11 will be executed in case if there is any problem in extracting information from the binary file. In that case, this line number 11 will be executed, and under this what we are doing, we are saying pass. That means we are just moving in a forward direction. After that, I am simply closing the file. That means we are just closing down the whole activity, and this is the completion of the function bin file that we defined at the beginning. So after that, we are executing this function, calling this function by writing the function name, bin file, opening and closing parenthesis, and that's all. That means the moment this statement is executed, automatically this definition, all the statements given inside this definition will get executed. Now let us see at the explanation also that is given in your book. You can refer program and explanation simultaneously. I hope that you are carrying your books along with you. Line 1 is importing pickle module required to work on library file. Line 2 is opening a binary file, that is data.dat, for writing to it. Using a loop, we read integer value and then put it in a file using line number 3 and 4. In line number 5, we are closing the data file, that is data.dat, and this will deallocate all the resources being used with the file. That means every time when we are making use of close function, all the deallocation, memory deallocation takes place. Then in line number 6, we are again associating data.dat to file stream for reading from it. Important statement is this: line number 7 and 11 are used for detection of end of file condition. This helps us in reading the content of the entire file. This is important. That means while to line number 7 and 11, line number 7 says is a try block, and line number 11 is except EOF error. Try and except allows us to handle errors in program. Also, reading at the end of file will result in the error, which is used here to terminate the loop used for reading data from a file. That means once we have reached the end of a file, automatically we will come out of a loop. Line number 8 allows us to make an infinite loop, as the same will be handled using end of file condition. In line number 9, now when I talk about line number 9, it is y is equal to pickle.load file. We are getting data from a binary file and storing the same in y, which is printed on the screen in the next line. So this is the way we can extract information from binary file and print it on the screen. This is to remember that one load function will get data from one dump, and the last statement will again close the file. That means we are talking about the last statement of the function bin file, that is file.close function. So this is a very simple way of creating binary files, accessing data from it, writing data onto it, and then displaying it on the screen. So that's all for today's session, children. Thank you. I hope that you have completed all your work. Please do complete all your work, and report file activity should also be complete. So please complete all your work on time. So this is again the output of the same program that we discussed. Pretty simple and clear enough. We are entering values again and again, and then we are printing the values. So that's all for today's session, children. Thank you.